Hello again, and greetings with peace, unity, light, and love. Because the end result of programming and conditioning is being removed from reality and truth by 7 degrees, then the invitation is to complete all 7 steps on the path back to full realization, back to your original nature, and then back to abiding as that overlaid on the relative existence for the remainder of the manifestation. You can call it a path or not. You can call it a journey or not. But the fact is, what awaits at the end of this 7-step process of unblocking the consciousness is a sense of boundlessness and freedom. How does that work? If realized, the consciousness can understand what its condition was like prior to manifestation as unmanifest awareness, as a result of awareness of what it was like prior to consciousness, prior to manifestation. It longs for that boundless and free condition once again. How does that happen? By taking the steps back in the reverse order by which the coming in happened. Suppose a bomb explodes near a soldier involved in a war, rendering him physically unconscious, and then he's captured. Suppose he remains in a coma for some time, that state of being in a coma tantamount to the masses being asleep in the terminology of non-duality. Then suppose the soldier begins to awaken from the coma and finds that he's imprisoned in a very small, cramped cell. As he awakens, he may not at first realize what knocked him out, what rendered him unconscious. That condition among the masses, by the way, is a result of being mentally bombarded by programming and conditioning and domestication and acculturation, leaving them in a coma-like state, even as they're dreaming that they're awake. The comatose soldier might dream he is awake and is free, and can believe that falsehood, having no clue that he's actually asleep and imprisoned in a very small, cramped cell and merely dreaming. If he awakens, he can begin to realize that he's been asleep and that he's been locked away in a prison. As he awakens fully, he can begin to recall when he was free. That's what happens with the consciousness as the seeker moves farther along the path and completes more and more of the 7 steps to full realization. It is only when seekers realize that their original nature was marked by freedom, realize that they've been put into a state that is coma-like, and realize that they've been robbed of freedom, that they then long wholeheartedly for that freedom once more. Then only does the search take on an unconditional aspect. Andy Dugard Jr., the editor of a collection of 4 non-duality books entitled the Advanced Seekers Series, described in the following way that unconditional aspect that is required if the search is to be successful. He said, "I had to become willing to risk it all, to forfeit it all, to question it all, and to give up everything I ever believed in order to have the wherewithal to seek with the total abandon required to finally find what had been sought. Then it became clear that there had been nothing to risk, nothing to forfeit, and nothing to believe in, and that newly found clarity. With that, all was understood and total freedom came." See, that which is pointed to with the phrase, your original nature, was, prior to manifestation, boundless and free. Along the way coming in, so to speak, what happened via programming and conditioning, etc., that separated you from your original nature. What happened was a loss of the original sense of the unicity, which had lingered up to about the age of 2, and what developed instead after that was a dualistic false sense of self and a preoccupation with selfness and with the physical body. See, until the age of about 20 months or 2 years, a child identifies with the source of its nurturing, in most cases its mother. There's a sense of oneness with the mother. At the age of 2 or so, the child begins to see itself as a separate self. Subject-object witnessing then replaces pure witnessing. Rather than not two, there develops a sense of two-ness, which is the basic requirement for misidentification and eventually for conflict. Hence, what's called the terrible twos is a result of losing a sense of unicity and developing a false sense of self. A sense of brokenness and apartness and disconnection must follow. Then the relative problems become truly aggravated as the child that was content during its no-mind state is taught all sorts of dualistic knowledge, also known as learned ignorance. And that will generate beliefs in being apart from rather than a part of, in better thanment, in separate and not equal, in social strata and hierarchies, in accumulation, in right religions versus wrong religions, in true believers versus infidels and sinners, in all sorts of other insanity-provoking dualistic concepts and beliefs. How could anyone feel at one with such concepts and beliefs clanging around in the head? No one can. So if one is seeking a sense of oneness and peace, then the path back must take the seeker beyond body and mind and personality identifications, and that includes the good identities that are often adopted supposedly to replace the former bad identities. Yes, the path back must even transcend identifying with the good roles as well, and shift to that previously uncontaminated and clear blank tablet state that existed during the early years of the manifestation when there was no identification. The invitation offered here is to feel the limitless expansiveness of pure, unadulterated presence, just as a well-fed and dry and happy child does, and then feel the bonds of the relative existence loosening so much that they eventually just drop away. The invitation is to understand the original nature and to abide as that, so that the remainder of the relative existence can unfold with a sense of boundlessness and freedom. Few ever realized that the last time they were totally content and felt a sense of being the pure, unadulterated presence was as a no-knowing, no-concept, no-duality, no-thoughts child. The going back nature of the journey is what moves the seeker away from an unstable and chaotic existence and allows for a manifestation that is marked by a sense of boundlessness, limitlessness, expansiveness, spaciousness, roominess, and vastness, of feeling unfettered, unrestrained, and therefore able to move about freely. The invitation is to complete all of the steps that can bring about that type of blissful existence for the remainder of the manifestation. Peace, unity, light, and love are extended to you.